Hello, welcome back to DeAnn's Art Studio. I'm DeAnn Mealy. Welcome back to Painting Tips and Coffee with DeAnn. If you've been following me on social media this week, you probably noticed that I have acquired just a little different look this week, painting in a monochromatic color scheme. And it's generated a lot of interest, so I thought it would be kind of fun for us to set up a palette together, prep. I'll demonstrate a rose in the next video, and then we can, after you've set everything up and you understand my approach, we will actually paint a composition together. I want to share these techniques with you. It's a little different. I'm focusing on my value scale, the values, temperature, and then the texture in order to get the dimension on the canvas. So I've tossed away all those beautiful colors temporarily, and I'm focusing in on just that, the runs of grays, black to white, and everything in between. And so kind of simplifies, trains your eye, and gets us into painting. So let's go down to the palette. All right, I have my palette here, and I've already set mine up, and I want to just talk to you a little bit about this. These grays that are in the Heritage Multimedia Acrylic line kind of sit on the cool side. So I've added a few warm colors, if you will, over to the side so that I can warm up my grays. But you can get these either pre-mixed out of the tube, or you can obviously take carbon black and titanium white and mix the values in between, all right? So that you have jumping off points. And they don't have to be perfect, but we have carbon black, which is your value 1, and I have my value scale, and it might be really handy for everyone when we go to paint the composition to have a value scale, alrighty? So value 1, I always tell students, value 1 is like you're down in the basement and the lights are off. It's as dark can get. And every step up, the light is on, and you're getting closer and closer and closer to the light until you get to the top of the stairs, and it's the brightest, lightest light that you can have, okay? So black is 1, and white, titanium white, is a 10. Then the dark gray that we already have pre-mixed, or you can mix those, is about a value 3. A value 6 is your medium gray, and then your light gray is over to a value 8. All right, so set those up on your palette. You can actually pre-mix with a palette knife if you don't have the grays. Toss them together. If you'd like to purchase the grays, I know where you can get those. I'm happy to fulfill an order and send those out to you. I use them just as a convenience. Okay, you don't necessarily have to have them. Then this is going to be your medium white, burnt sienna, and cerulean blue. Now, burnt sienna and cerulean blue are opposites on the color wheel. You have blue and orange color. Mixed together, they make the most beautiful warm gray. And once you understand all of these grays, I guarantee that your underpainting for your white roses will completely change as well, because this gives you some beautiful warms and cools in order to use in all your other paintings, landscapes, all your other genre. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. In this painting that we're going to do together, I am going to be using a Global Art Fusion 3/4 inch. I know, I still have this baby. She is just lovely. I used her on the entire, get this, this is the only brush I used when I painted the vertical rose that you've been seeing over on Facebook that everybody liked, okay? This crazy, well-loved, well-trained, broken-in brush. So 3/4 inch, all right? And then I also, you can have either an 8 or a number 10 fusion flat as well, okay? So that's when you go into doing some of your fine small petaling or whatever, if we have some small filler flowers, stems and lines and accents that when we work in the composition, okay? So let's just pull this down. Not too much to show you about this except for the setup. And obviously these paints will come in jars or in tubes, okay? And you don't need a whole bunch of it. The 10 and the 1, you might want to make sure you have plenty of black and white on hand, alrighty? Since we are going to be painting in black and white. Now, medium white, if I bring medium white down, I can actually shift my grays over and make my gray a little warmer, okay? So I'm going to be doing that quite a bit on the warm highlights of the bowl of my flowers, okay? Now, let me show you this cerulean blue That is a beautiful pure pigment in the line. Pull in a little bit of the burnt sienna, and if if yours still looks a little bit red, or you may need a little bit more blue. If it turns too blue, you can just shift it over with a little bit more red. Let me lighten that up for you so that you can see that gray, and you can see the difference. Kind of hard to see on camera. So this would be about, I would say, probably about a value 4 or 5, probably a 5. All right, and acrylics dry down, so let's go with the 4. And you can see that would be a warmer gray, whereas this gray is a cooler gray. Okay, just a little bit shift in temperature, and that's what gives us some beautiful colors, and it makes you look like you know what you're doing when you're painting. Okay, those are kind of some of the things that you're not seeing unless you're zooming in on the photos that I'm posting of those paintings. Let me rinse out my brush since I have my values mixed up there. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be taking the white over and putting that over. For instance, you see that's a number 10. And if I pull this white down and a little bit of the 8, get something in between, and remember, acrylics will dry down. They'll dry down darker. I can get a value 9. All right, that's a beautiful value 9. So I have printed off my value scale, and if you're interested and you need that, I'll put a link down there so that you're able to access it, or you're happy to email me and I'll email it over to you so you can print your own and put it in a page protector, because then all you got to do is just wipe it right back off. All right. I also, in my page protector, I keep some of my other value scales. I print off in the yellows, in the browns, and then tucked under I have blue, and then of course I have red and green. Okay. Let's just check one more just so you'll see what we're doing here. Value 6. Okay. That's the value 6. Okay. And your printer doesn't print the colors as accurate as you're seeing on camera, and then my camera is not as accurate as what you're actually going to see in the paint. Okay, so for me this is probably sits between a 5, 6, somewhere in there, so I could probably lighten that just a little bit, but I don't get all touchy about I have to pull this down and make it exact. Okay, I don't have to pull everything down exact, but when I go to hit and I need to maybe I need to halftone on my flower, then it would be good for me to know in between, exactly what my hues are. So if I needed to halftone, when we start talking halftones, that's the color that falls in between those two. Alrighty? All right, so that is our value scale. Okay, so you're going to set up a palette. I'm just using an acrylic palette, and you can set up everything from from right to left, and start with your black, work up your value scale, and have yourself a nice healthy dose of white. Then you're going to have some medium white. There is a mix for that. If you don't have that color, that's fine. That's in one of the mixes. We can give you the recipe for that. It is basically titanium white, Hansa yellow, and just a little bit of black, and burnt sienna and the cerulean blue, only because that just gives you a really, really pretty warm gray. All right, and that's going to be necessary when we're painting. We don't want to paint our entire flower composition all cool. We want to vary our temperature while we're painting it. Okay, so 3/4 inch fusion flat, a number 8, 10, whichever one floats your boat. Okay, I tend to use a 10 often. If I'm on a really small canvas, I'll probably shift down to an 8, and then these runs of colors. Okay, all right, so set up your palette and grab some coffee, and I'll see you on the demonstration for the rose. And when I'm demonstrating, you're welcome to pause it or watch it through and then come back, and then we'll film up a nice composition so that you're able to do that in the next few days. All right, have a great evening. Get your paints ready. Subscribe, please subscribe, follow. You don't want to miss any of this content that I'm going to be sharing with you. Alrighty, DeAnn's Art Studio at where am I at? On Facebook, I'm at DeAnn's Art Studio, and over on Instagram, it's DeAnn's Art Studio and Gallery. All right, so look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a good night.